played Malphite and Pantheon?
You have to ban champions that aid your composition, or champions you know that you don't want to face. In this case, Castellan's definitely going to feature, has been banned against both of these teams twice already, and I also think Elise is going to be a priority pick. Banned once against Roccat, banned twice against Copenhagen Wolves, and we know Jankos and Amazing both like to play those champions.
Vi and Thresh do go down. We'll see whether that's going to hamper Amazing or not. Jankos, we've seen, like you say, on Evelynn. He's been on Elise. He's been on a number of champions throughout this tournament already. Kassadin is taken away. No surprises there, honestly. Elise taken away as well. So that's going to be from Jankos. Evelynn has to be banned out by the Wolves, I feel, the last ban.
My also concern here is that Leona and Annie are still up and available. I really like the Thresh being taken away from VandeR. It's something that he's used in both of their previous games, and I think VandeR's Thresh is probably the scariest support Thresh out of all of the European teams so far. He's the one that's made the impact with those death sentences one after the other. Interesting to see Roccat banning Kayle.
Yeah.
When you consider it was actually what cowTard used against Alliance to help them win their game, and Overpowp used to secure their spot in the LCS.
Final ban. What will it be from the Wolves? Will it be Evelynn? No. Annie. Yeah. So, do they go for a top laner? They choose and value Celaver's AD carry, Caitlyn.
This is scary because if they lock this in, Mundo and Shyvana could and most likely would be picked up by the Copenhagen Wolves.
Definitely.
We have seen them running. We know they like to play them, and you've seen how powerful those tanks can become just in the previous game with, you know, Renekton just getting so far away. That's an insta-lock. Insta-lock Lee Sin actually from Amazing. So he's making it very clear he wants that aggressive jungler and he wants to get in people's faces.
We're just waiting to see what YoungBuck's going to go with. We know what the jungler will be, which means Roccat will delay theirs, I feel, because I don't think they have to panic about maybe Evelynn being taken away. Yasuo being locked in. Second game running now, this time for the Wolves, alongside Lee Sin, just like we saw for Millennium.
So we may actually be seeing the Copenhagen Wolves running a similar strategy so far. It didn't work for Millennium because they had no ability power damage to back up the physical armor, and I think seeing that, you know, that's what you got to deal with. Roccat now has to start thinking, well, why don't we lock tanks in? Why don't we consider doing exactly what Fnatic did? You can see a playbook there sitting with Roccat discussing, hey, we didn't really see this one coming, so what do we want to use? What do we want to change? And they're going for almost an exact copy. We may see very similar comps to the previous game.
Well, we'll see whether they counter it. The playbook clearly in the hands of Overpowp there. Actually, that's not Overpowp, that's Jankos, I believe. Yes, it is.
Yeah, Jankos.
So he's obviously the shot caller, clearly doing a lot of talking here. May well be the main shot caller for the team. Not really got that information so far. Shyvana, well, YoungBuck's been up against Shyvana and against SK Gaming. He saw firsthand what Freddy122 could do against him, and YoungBuck was helpless with Mundo in that game. I wonder if he's going to go with something different.
I'm very happy to see the Shyvana because in my mind, he would have done a better job than Renekton in the previous game. So I like this. This is basically the upgrade to Fnatic's comp from the previous matchup. The question is now, how does the rest of these lanes get rounded out for the Copenhagen Wolves? They could put Yasuo in the top lane. They could put him there knowing that it's most likely going to be Shyvana. If they wanted to go that route, if they want to leave him as that heavy assassin in the mid lane, I don't know really what they want to do for top, and it's not locked in on the Dr. Mundo just yet, so we'll have to see who they decide to put up there.
Of course, with Mundo alongside him, what would we expect in the mid laner? I don't expect to see, I don't know, maybe Yasuo is going to be the mid laner for cowTard, or whether that's going to be YoungBuck. Of course, Mundo does get locked in, that almost certainly is. It's going to be a Lucian. Wow, this is identical to Millennium so far, apart from the Mundo.
Definitely working a little bit different. They've got a real tank in the top lane as opposed to the Gragas. To be fair, Gragas' recommended items also make him build tanks, so maybe that's a design thing for somebody to talk about in the background. And it's leveling up each of the two different compositions. I think Karthus would be a brilliant idea here because if cowTard assassinates Karthus, he's still going to get his Requiem down, and as long as Roccat stay on that Defile range, it actually forces Copenhagen Wolves to take all of that magical damage. You highlighted Evelynn, we talked about how good Jankos was on him yesterday, and that is all the magic damage you need. You can, you know, jump in from the side. I prefer Karthus. I don't think you need more physical here. I really think AP might be the way to go.
He's obviously thinking he's going to be up against Yasuo in that mid, and he's just wondering what am I going to counter it with. Riven? Potentially. He saw obviously in that mid lane, I think it was game 1 he played Riven?
Game 2 actually.
Well, it was YoungBuck played it in game 2.
Yes.
I think in game 1.
No. If against NIP it was Kayle. Yeah, he played Overpowp KO and carried him through that way.
Of course he did. He just dominated it.
I'm concerned about the Riven because the same weaknesses that Millennium had, now Roccat has. That they do have a massive focus on physical damage. There are nice shields here. It's very difficult to assassinate Shyvana, very difficult to assassinate Riven. And yes, Evelynn does have a very high amount of magic damage, but I almost think I would have preferred the Karthus to wrap up that composition.
And you know what? Other than Lee Sin, there's no knockups to help out Yasuo here. He has to make all that damage himself. He has to do the knockout. Not that hard of a skill, honestly, but it would help if you get help with a little bit of help from your friends. I've completely messed that line.
They're going to be able to get Lulu's Wild Growth to help out, as well as Shyvana's knockback. As soon as Dragon's Descent goes in, that will actually be enough. No, wrong team. You are right. Got distracted.
I am right.
Yeah, you are right. You're 100% right. Lee Sin is the only one. That's it.
Yeah.
Kickback. Dragon's Rage, only thing that's going to interrupt it. We're not going to have the Gragas Barrel plus 3-man, which is what Millennium did just above the Baron pits that helped them win that fight. And I think the onus is going to be on Copenhagen Wolves to not lose towers to Caitlyn Lulu. So Roccat will be looking for the 2v1. And as long as Copenhagen Wolves don't lose towers and don't fall behind early, maybe that composition can work out for them. But I think if they build up enough armor, they can actually, deal with the Riven, Caitlyn, etc.
I'm excited to see what Jankos is going to do. And it could be interesting. He's gone Rabid on Zescat before. Let's see if he's going to do it again in the jungle. Now, though, let's see what you fans at home have been favoring. Checking the votes online, it looks like 54% of you believe that Roccat will put out the win here. And not quite on the hype train that we as casters are right now. And I know Deficio is definitely on this train. He is excited. He's like a little kid before Christmas to see what the Roccat versus Alliance game is going to be like later on. That's the final game of the day. Right now, we're into game 3. Roccat will be starting out as the blue team. They're going to be up against the Copenhagen Wolves, who are searching out, trying to get their second win.
Yeah, they're 1-2 right now. This is the last game of the week for the Copenhagen Wolves. I'd like to see how Roccat handle their team fights. I think part of the reason we get so excited when we look at Roccat and how they've been performing over the last few games is they are so immensely strong in all of their fights, and their coordination seems to just be on another level right now. And they're going to be put to the test against the Copenhagen Wolves.
So here we go. There is Roccat. Celaver, the AD carry, alongside him will be VandeR on that Lulu, and of course, cowTard. We'll see how his Yasuo performs, because he only has the help of Amazing to punt them in the air. Of course, he can do it himself with his skill shot, the Q, the Steel Tempest. Whether he'll be able to do that, well, are they going to have any first bloods? Remember, we saw Millennium face-checking straight in towards Fnatic last time around. That chopper finds its home, and Xaxus immediately taking damage from that infected cleaver.
Yeah, YoungBuck's just going to keep throwing them out. He is running flash teleport on that Dr. Mundo, which is becoming the standard whenever we see Mundo up in the top lane. So we'll see how his teleports come into use later in the matchup. But I think where we need to keep all of our action focused will be on the mid lane. We need to be seeing how Overpow's Riven will deal with cowTard's Yasuo. I think that the matchup will favor Riven probably in the early game, and as long as Overpowp doesn't get a little bit too far ahead, I actually see a lot of damage being able to be put down by Yasuo, and it's going to be quite an action-packed lane.
But no first blood. No easy kills, and that means Forgiven will be just staring at Celaver down that bottom lane. It does, of course, mean that we are going to have standard meta being set up here. Once again, it is YoungBuck going to try and come in there. He's going for the little blue bait. It is going to be simply the ward being placed down there. Jankos is coming up, though. YoungBuck has to back away from this, and he has got a lot of hit points, but not just yet. He's only level 1.
Well, we'll see how well Copenhagen Wolves adapt to this straight-up matchup. I think Caitlyn Lulu is going to be pretty good at actually dealing with Lucian and Leona in that lane. Does actually look like the swaps are coming in from Roccat, realizing that maybe something fishy is up. You can see the 80 carries and supports, they've actually met in the middle, and I think Roccat have responded to this very well. Copenhagen Wolves do not want to go for that 2v2. I think they want to try to shut down Riven, try to control him, and I want to highlight that Unlimited has gone for an Ancient Coin as his first item. This is one of the first times we see a Leona not going for a Relic Shield. They don't want to push the lane very hard and don't want to try to get an early level 2 to all in.
Well, rotations continue, because immediately the Copenhagen Wolves, they're going to have themselves up against another 2v2 partnership, because Overpowp is heading back to that mid lane. He wants to fight up against Yasuo. That means Unlimited is going to be trying to land them stuns onto Celaver.
Well, we'll see how he does manage to make it. Copenhagen Wolves have done 2 swaps already. And we'll see if on the first back, they once again try to roam, once again try to, get a more favorable setup. And I think as long as Copenhagen Wolves defend their towers against this Caitlyn-Lulu combination, it's a good start. But look at the poke already. Lulu and Caitlyn will out-poke Leona and Lucian any day of the week, but they've caught VandeR.
Unlimited's going in, gets the stun down. Here comes Amazing. Will it be close enough, though? Has to flash for it. He does get in there. Hasn't quite got the damage onto VandeR. Forgiven goes aggressive. He tries to dash in there, but Roccat survived.
They managed to get the flash out of VandeR, so the next time Unlimited gets a good Zenith Blade into Shield at Daybreak, that could be the first blood kill. We talked about how the poke is superior for Roccat. The all-in and kill potential is much more superior for Copenhagen Wolves. So as long as they keep landing those skill shots, Roccat are going to be a little bit of trouble.
Jankos was standing by, ready and waiting to join them at the tower. He's just took the golems and he's going to back away. We see VandeR going back. Celaver on his own at the moment, just trying to hold fire against Forgiven and Unlimited. Of course, Amazing did back away. He's going to be going back towards the north now. So, rotations once again, Trevor.
Yeah, Copenhagen Wolves don't actually want the 2v2. I'm not sure what the thinking is, because they're running the risk of allowing Celaver and VandeR to get the tower, and Overpowp, he may take some damage, does manage to back away in time. And you know what it's actually for? They are defending Yasuo. I think they are scared that Overpowp's Riven is going to control cowTard's Yasuo, and he's more comfortable relying on that Steel Tempest. It's only a cooldown, there's no mana cost available, and can just carry on CSing from range. Jankos is going to walk past Amazing. Amazing will see him, and this could be Jankos in trouble.
Jankos could be in trouble. So far, he's only died once in the LCS, and Amazing putting a lot of damage back down on towards him. And Unlimited's going to try and come around. That Zenith Blade's not got the range yet, though, and that's going to force him away. He's flashed for it. Oh, and a quick flash. That was quick reactions from Jankos.
Very good reaction time. Flash for a flash, but that at least dissuades that first gank. Now, Copenhagen Wolves keeping Overpowp under pressure. He's 4 CS down, his tower is now taking damage, and this is exactly what the Copenhagen Wolves need to do to get this sort of early mid-game power spike of their champions going. Get some early towers, get some early gold.
It looks like the duo lane is heading back to the mid. Of course they are. So Overpowp's going to be switching once again. He's going to be going down to the bottom. And it's Copenhagen Wolves that are initiating all of these changes. So it'd be interesting to see whether Roccat, with the reactionary play, are going to keep up with CS, because at the moment they're falling behind quite heavily.
I think because it's, Copenhagen Wolves making the choices, they're going to be able to hold on to this lead until Roccat are comfortable just settling down. Whenever we see these swaps happening, it tends to happen for 7, 8, 9 minutes time, and then eventually one team just goes, you know what, it's not worth losing the CS, it's not worth losing the experience, and they stop doing it. Right? For the time being, Overpowp is once again going to be battling against cowTard, and that matchup is still very, very even, but I think cowTard is running just a little bit scared, relying on those ranged abilities on his Q to keep himself alive.
So the top lane, we haven't really had a chance to look at this one. It's the good old Shyvana up against Mundo. So these two teams, once again, are just going to be butting heads in this top lane for a while. I don't expect to see any kills. Remember last time, Xaxus, he had the help of Jankos. I'm wondering whether he's going to have that again.
I actually don't even think he needs it. It's definitely a possibility. Of course, Jankos can come and gank for him, but if we once again see that Blade of the Ruined King build, we can actually see the Shyvana just completely controlling Dr. Mundo, and Xaxus has the ability to do it. We seen yesterday his Renekton play was phenomenal, and help will aid that endeavor, but he should be able to pick himself up that Blade of the Ruined King and maybe just control the lane himself. Once again, Amazing is looking for a gank. Amazing is really trying to make something work for the Copenhagen Wolves. They've caught Celaver.
Unlimited goes a bit too deep there, and they can see immediately gets slowed down by that Glitter Lance of VandeR. And you know what? They had the 10 CS advantage built up. It's been all dragged back by Roccat.
Yeah, and Unlimited really didn't need to go in there. Yes, he caught Celaver, but it was just a little bit out of tower range. He didn't even get the stun down either. Primed up that Q, didn't land the auto attack, and backed away, almost being taken down. So ends up working out. That's a flash from cowTard. Yeah. Terrified of the all-in from Overpowp.
Overpowp forcing that out, and that's going to put him just at level 6 as well. Forced him completely to flash away. Like you say, he seems to be terrified of his play. So clearly, this may be something that they've played in solo queue before against each other.
Yeah, it definitely looks that way. You know, cowTard not comfortable facing off against Riven. It's taken 3 days to see Yasuo, and we've now seen him in 2 of our 3 games. VandeR in a little bit of a trouble as Amazing's going to challenge. Well, Amazing has lost his own red buff. Here comes Unlimited from the side, and Jankos engages.
Jankos comes around, that's going to be the ultimate used. Ace in the hole pops on towards it. Amazing is going to get away though, and that was a number of ultimates used by Roccat. They wanted to get the aggression, they wanted to get the kills, but it didn't work.
And if only there was a Requiem available from McCarthus, maybe it could have worked out. But I really like the play from Roccat. Grouping up as a 3-man, realizing they've got the AD carry and support to aid the counter juggling and aid the buff steal. So they get the red buff away, almost pick up a kill, and you know, it was good defensive play from Unlimited in that regard. He stunned Jankos up as soon as he was trying to move past. So very good reactionary play there by Leona to save his teammate's life.
And remember, of course, because Yasuo is in there, it does mean that Amazing is going to be taking the blue buff for himself if he lives. He's having to run.
Yeah, can't take it. He's not going to be able to secure it.
He wants to give it Forgiven?
Oh, no, I just think he's too low. Forgiven's coming to tank it up, and Amazing will complete it. But I mean, almost, you know, almost pulling a broken shot and dying to a buff is not something anybody wants to do at this level of play. But again, good reactionary play. You see the duo lane once again swapping. You know, Forgiven and Unlimited, this is the 4th or 5th lane swap that we've seen. They are back down in the bottom lane. Immediately, cowTard is roaming bottom. He does not want to fight against Riven. Riven is just able to out-duel him. The shield is too much to deal with, as well as the knock-up and the stun. Unfortunately, not squishy enough for cowTard to kill. And
that teleport would have been seen. YoungBuck just used it to go back to the top lane. Bearing in mind we're at the 9-minute mark right now. Roccat don't look like they're going to be targeting that Dragon, but if they do, YoungBuck's got a lot of running to do.
I don't know if that's the objective. You know, the numbers advantage is with Copenhagen Wolves right now because they're going to be able to just react and put 4 members there, but we'll have to see how this pans out. cowTard is being surrounded right now by the members of Roccat. If he carries on running up the lane, this could be so smart. Roccat realizing a lane swap's going to go in, and unfortunately, not able to make it work. He's going in.
It's going to be a flash, gets the wind wall down. That stopped the glitter lance coming out there. Solar Flare's going to land, but it's only Overpowp they caught on towards, and now Jankos holding back. He hasn't got his ultimate available, so he couldn't go deep enough, and that's Copenhagen Wolves with first blood for cowTard.
Yeah, they're going to carry on chasing as Jankos does manage to get away, and I think good play by Roccat, realizing the swap was going to be there, but they took too long to actually make the kill happen. So unfortunately, Copenhagen Wolves reacted, got their players involved, and secured the kill for themselves, and it went to the best possible member. Now they have caught Jankos again.
Jankos is going to get dropped, and that's going to be his 2nd death in the LCS, and now VandeR's in trouble. He's going to get locked up in a moment. Unlimited's trying to land that stun. Has he got enough to tank up the turret? No, they're going to back away, but while that's all happening, we see the mid lane, the first turret of the game, does go down in the middle.
And they're going to be able to secure another tower for Copenhagen Wolves this time round on the bottom lane. So they're trading 1 for 1. Celaver is doing the best that he can to control this lane, pushing it up through the mid. And after all the talk of Dragon, Copenhagen Wolves will in fact be able to secure this one. They've got 4 members of their team within, shot of it. As Overpowp may try to challenge, but this is going to be risky. Dragon should be secured, and Copenhagen Wolves get out quite cleanly. That's a nice spike of gold for the Wolves.
Yeah, stretches them 1,000, 1,500 gold ahead. While that's all been happening though, we've seen Xaxus in that top lane, just farming between the waves once again. Went for that build to Water Cutlass, going to get the Blade of the Rune King completed, Spirit Visage will be alongside it. And that's going to start causing problems for Mundo. And YoungBuck, honestly, after yesterday's game against SK, he's having nightmares.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult to pull away from this. You know, it is a build and a champion composition that it genuinely just counters you. And as a Dr. Mundo, the best that you can do is try to CS and use that teleport to ideally help. You know, that whole bottom lane fight, if teleport had been available for YoungBuck, he maybe could have jumped in there, helped Celaver and VandeR out. But unfortunately, he burned it just to get back to lane to try keep up with Shyvana, and it backfires, you know, realizing it's not available.
Well, help out in the terms of throwing infected cleavers at them. I think that's what you were getting at, because that's everybody likes to help out with some assists.
Well, no, but I mean, if they had the ward there. You know, Overpowp committed to the fight in front of the Dragon Pit. And if that fight had been followed up with a teleport, Copenhagen Wolves would have been less inclined to throw 4 or 5 members into the engage. Well, we'll see how this works out right now. Roccat on the defending position.
So, as it is, they are going to try and 4-man push. Remember, that middle turret has gone down. Dragon was taken quite a while ago, so Roccat will have got vision of that. I think they just realized it. I think they knew pretty much a while ago, but they needed to make sure it was cleared out the pit, though. It's actually Xaxus came very low in that top, as well as
cowTard
YoungBuck. You're going to see cowTard has to flash away from this one. Celaver's going to chase on through, wind wall being used, but it's not enough to stop them away. But Amazing comes in, the kick does the job. And
the wind wall was very important there as well. You know, second time we're seeing Yasuo, that wind wall is going to block any and all projectiles. Well, Overpowp gets slow, but it's not really going to be enough. And of course, with that wind wall, you know, blocking projectiles, there's no slow from the glitter lance, no auto attacks that can land. Jankos once again going to steal the red buff, it looks like, and we do see Amazing forced to flash away.
Some panic play from Overpowp down the bottom there as well, using the third hit to just completely miss, went across by the back of the tower, didn't really hit the minions what he was after, but he is continuing the farm. Let's have a look at that farm, because we've not really had a chance yet, because action has been continually going as all these continuous lane movements go on. In terms of AD carries, they are actually very close, 110 to 113, and despite the fact all of this movement's going on, we also see a 95 to 89 between Riven and Yasuo. The top lane, of course, there's a difference. It's Xaxus on Shyvana with that lead with the Blade of the Rune King.
I'm actually quite surprised that it is that even, that it is that close, because of all the lane rotations and, you know, all of the movement back and forth, it just shows you that both of these teams are staying even there. They're making sure that the reactions have not been delayed. And that is just allowing these numbers to stay as close as they really are. The one thing that has happened, though, is the Copenhagen Wolves have been able to avoid that Overpowp versus cowTard situation. That was their goal for the entire opening 10 minutes, and it is allowing them to get in. Now comes Jankos into YoungBuck.
But he doesn't have his ultimate available, so this should be a kill, and it's going to be Jankos. That's the first one for Roccat this time around. It's took them a long time to get it, and it was honestly Xaxus, all the work he did on Shyvana to finally have to tank through that ultimate. Last, he gets the help of his jungler.
And like you talked about, is Jankos going to help Xaxus out? He didn't need to up till that point. The sadism had already been used, but as soon as the ultimates were burned, there was no flash, there was no sadism available for Dr. Mundo. Xaxus calls it, and that's when Jankos comes to gank. They get the kill, they get themselves their second tower of the game, and they actually close up this gold lead. Copenhagen Wolves, with the first steal of the game for themselves, they take away the red buff from Roccat.
Yeah, good reactions. They knew Jankos was top, so therefore they took that red buff. And actually, talking about the junglers, you know, it's important to see how these guys level, because both of them have been getting all of the buffs. Nobody's wanted a blue buff, so both Jankos and Amazing have been taking everything from the jungle so far.
Yeah, and there's actually been a lot of focus on these jungles right now, with all of the lane rotations and with the number of team members available for ganking and counter-ganking the buff steals. It's been quite a lot of action. 2 red buffs in a row have been stolen away from Copenhagen Wolves. Jankos has made it very clear he wants to be in the Copenhagen Wolves jungle, and that is partially to do with the fact that Xaxus can respond with that very powerful Shyvana, who is already beating Dr. Mundo. Of course, Dr. Mundo with a teleport. Now I'm waking up a little bit, making sure they're using it correctly. Amazing goes way deep.
Oh, far too deep. The damage comes down. VandeR jumps on towards him. Wild growth bounce. cowTard up. cowTard's going to get taken down. Xaxus jumps across with the Dragon Descent. Now YoungBuck's going to run for it. Still has to pop that ultimate, but I think he's going to get burned through. You can see the rest of Roccat trying to catch up. He does finally have that bonus speed, but look at Overpowp. Coming around the backside, can he close the gap on towards YoungBuck? I don't think so.
Yeah, 2 for 0 right now. That whole fight starts from the Lee syndrome. At that point in time, Amazing dove onto Caitlyn, who used the 90 caliber neck, got pulled so far back that the rest of the Wolves got baited into that fight that they really did not want to be involved. They don't lose any further objectives though, so at the end of the day, it's 2 kills, and they got the tower, so a little bit risky, and I think Amazing's just going to be a little bit more cautious on which engages he decides to follow up with.
Let's just take this one out again.
Yeah.
There is the tower, but way too deep.
No, I mean, the way it all started is just before that tower was going to drop, Amazing landed a Sonic Wave and underestimated how many members of Roccat were around. He didn't have vision on them, and I think because he didn't know where they were, he just maybe forgot that they could be nearby. And once he committed himself in there, you've seen the teleport coming down from YoungBuck to help the rest of the Copenhagen Wolves, and it wasn't enough in that situation.
So we see Xaxus backing off. He'd already got the Blade of the Rune King. No, he's cancelled it because there's been a call. I think Roccat want to push them in.
Roccat have the numbers advantage, but the minion wave and the vision is not really with them right now.
Dragon.
So we'll have to see how they play this one out. Copenhagen Wolves took the last one thanks to that very good fight, plus the bottom lane tower. Wind Wall is actually being used to tank dragon damage, and that could bite them in the backside. It's not going to be available for the fight.
Xaxus comes around, the dragon does go down. It's amazing, they picks it up, and Roccat do not want to fight. They're backing away from this one. Jankos is going to get his stealth up in a moment. He's just past the ping ward though, which is why he's got vision. Celaver doing damage on towards YoungBuck, but I don't think they're going to close the gap, and it's Roccat going defensive.
Yeah, I think if Overpowp had been a little bit closer in that particular fight, maybe Roccat could have done a little more with it, and I don't know if they were aware that that wind wall had actually been used against the dragon. I think cowTard's going to be a bit more careful with that ability. It's very, very powerful and, you know, can really help out blocking, especially Celaver's long-range auto attacks. He needs to go through the wind wall before he can start hitting your team. So we'll keep an eye on that as the game goes forward. And once again, Static Shiv, first pickup for Yasuo, most likely going to be transitioning into that Infinity Edge.
Clearly these teams haven't seen Mad Life in action on the Dragon yet. So as it stands, we'll see whether anyone starts stepping that up here, as they saw in the NLB finals just the other day. Meanwhile, Jankos, he's on the invade. He's going to take away the red buff, and actually not a lot they can do about this one.
That's a third time in a row that we've seen Jankos stealing that buff away. And this time, that was alone. I mean, there was no support from the rest of his team. Xaxus and Shyvana was miles away, and that was a risky steal. That was a very risky invade, but he gets away with it because nobody from Copenhagen Wolves were able to respond quickly enough, and he backs out. He's got those Sorcerer's Shoes and the Spirit of the Spectral Wraith completed as well, so most likely going to work himself towards a Deathfire Grasp, and this is something we've been seeing Jankos do, is going all in on damage items on his jungle champions.
Full nuke ability. It's something we used to see from Diamond Procs a long time ago in that full-on aggression. He's gone recently to a bit more defensive support items, but Jankos, one more hit and we'll take down that pink ward. We do see Unlimited also clearing out the wards, and immediately, bing, bing, everything goes back down.
Yeah, Copenhagen Wolves now sitting 200 gold ahead, 2 towers apiece. They, you know, managed to pick up that last dragon, and I think with only the top outer turret remaining and not really being able to push it, you have to give some props here to YoungBuck. He's only 30 CS down in this matchup right now. It's still a negative, but he's not as far behind as we have seen this matchup go in the past. So we'll have to see how effective he becomes once these prolonged team fights come out. And once again, there's Yasuo using that sweeping blade, the dashing ability, following it up with the Steel Tempest, his Q, and actually does the small area of effect knock-up in the circle.
And you know, after all the swapping, the changing the lanes, I wonder how Overpowp and cowTard are now going to measure up, because of course cowTard has that kill. You saw just a moment ago with the gold, he's got about an 800 gold lead over Overpowp as well. So it seems to me that now that he's got that Static Shift, now that Infinity Edge is underway, he's starting to feel a lot more confident.
Yeah, I think the Static Shift gives him all the mobility he needs to get his shield back up for that passive of his. Doubles the crit chance as well, so he can control the wave. I still don't think he wants to go head-to-head. I still think against a Bloodthirster with the regen and the shield that you get on Overpow's Riven, he's still a little scared. But we'll most likely see amazing roaming with him. You know, in the previous game, Kerp and Aranea, they were ganking and they were basically holding hands the entire early game, you know, first 20 minutes. And it worked for them, got them 2 kills. This time round, a little bit less emphasis on those ganks and the Dragon's Rage into Last Breath combinations.
Overpow's been given a good chunk of time on towards this bottom turret. He does step away the moment cowTard comes in. So realizing there is a danger now. It's not just such a one-sided fight for him. And he wasn't too sure on the vision of everyone else coming towards him.
And you know, there is a little bit of possibility for outplay on both of these champions. You know, they can dodge skill shots, they can dodge the knock-up. There's, you know, CC for both. And it can come down to whoever gets the jump on your opponent first, allows you to land all the burst and then just chase them down for the final kill. So as it stands, respect between Overpowp and cowTard. The rest of the Copenhagen Wolves need to start finding an answer for the split push Xaxus, and I think Xaxus is going to do exactly what SK Gaming did with their top lane Shyvana. Let him split push and try force fights in your 4v4, which is very good for Roccat. They've got a massive shield from Evelynn, they've got the wild growth from Lulu, they can do well in 4v4 situations.
cowTard throwing down that wind wall, making sure there's no Piltover Peacemakers coming his way. Celaver instead will take away the Wraiths around the side. Ooh, just sidestepping the whirlwind coming his direction. It is the Q, it's the Steel Tempest, the 3rd charge of it.
Yeah.
It looks pretty much like a Howling Gale that you get from a Janna.
Basically just a little more damage is the way it works
as well.
But yeah, and you know, gives you the knock-up, and of course his ultimate only can be targeted on champions that have been, you know, affected by knock-ups and mobilities. And right now, very passive play. You know, the last Dragon was the last little bit of maybe something could happen. And with it respawning in a minute's time, I anticipate the Copenhagen Wolves to just push out their lanes, ward up the Dragon Pit, and maybe try to get control of it, because the Wolves have been the ones with more focus on Dragon. They've taken 2 of them so far, and I think their objective play around that pit is very good right now.
45 seconds into that, but Dragon respawns and 3 members of Roccat teleports him back. That signifies they really want to fight for this one.
Yeah, and they should be able to. I mean, you're even on gold right now. I think in a 5v5 situation, as long as Celaver doesn't get completely shut down by Amazing and cowTard, I think I prefer Rockat's 5v5. There's shields to get through, there's a wild growth, there's a very, very tanky Shyvana. And on the condition Celaver can deal damage through a prolonged fight, I think Roccat can win it. So the onus is going to be on Copenhagen Wolves to find an opportunity to actually catch Celaver out. You see them trying to set something up. Teleport is available for Roccat, for Copenhagen Wolves, for YoungBuck to join the fight in this pit, but there is no wards around. So he's going to take some time, deal a lot of damage to this top lane tower.
Yeah, may well take that tower down before he even needs to teleport in. We saw Overpowp was actually blocking cowTard from coming down around the bottom lane. Instead, he's going to have to come in separate from the rest of his team. So he's coming in to pin some moves.
Teleport's coming.
Now he's going to try and join him. Here comes YoungBuck. The teleport comes in. They haven't taken the Dragon down just yet. They're going to back away from this one. They're actually fighting it in the back. Overpow's going to get focused on. Catches one of these infected cleavers. Xaxus comes in. Dragon's descent across 4 members of Copenhagen Wolves. It's unlimited they're focusing on. But while that's happening, Overpowp dodging away from the culling. He's going to run for his life. Jankos has got in. He takes down the support. And now Jankos is on towards YoungBuck. YoungBuck taken low. Everybody else from the Copenhagen Wolves backing away from this one. And Celaver, untouched so far, just forces them all away. Roccat going to go for Dragon.
There's not enough knockups there. Once again, we see the last breath not being used in a big team fight. cowTard is unable to get in there, unable to get that damage down, and Roccat are the ones that secure the Dragon. I think Overpowp did a very, very good job at drawing the attention from Forgiven, and once Forgiven was worried about Overpowp, Xaxus just threw himself in there in Dragon's Descent. This is the replay. Take a look at Overpowp from behind. He's immediately going to look for Forgiven once he puts himself in this bush, and with the aid of Xaxus, they focus on the AD carry, pull him away from the fight, and that allows the rest of Roccat to pick up some kills. At the moment, it does look like there's a little bit of action going on in the live game. As you can see, Amazing, he's trying to find himself onto Xaxus, and he has actually found him.
He has found him. Xaxus will go down. No! He survives. Is it going to be enough? Forgiven comes in. He gets the lock on there. Overpow's taking the bottom turret, but it's Jankos they're going to go for now. YoungBuck will come journeying through with that burning agony running. Celaver's going to try and turn this one back around. Ace in the hole coming out. That's going to get blocked off. YoungBuck taking low. And Roccat, well, they pushed a little too far on the Wolves there.
Yeah, Forgiven manages to pick up the first kill onto Xaxus. He is down. While that fight was going on, we see Overpowp split pushing on the bottom lane. They may trade tower for tower. I didn't see how much hit points was sitting on Overpow's one, but trading an inner turret for an outer turret, I think Roccat will be happy with that trade. They just had to give up 2 additional kills, which is obviously not ideal.
Yeah, it was 2 towers, I believe, that he took down. That bottom, outer, and inner turret there for Overpowp, and that's something they're going to make sure they watch, because cowTard comes in. Overpow's waiting in a bush, and we're already seeing the difference in power, and Overpowp just destroyed cowTard.
Windslash didn't even connect. I mean, the ultimate, the active from Overpow's Riven didn't even connect with cowTard, and it was still enough damage to burst him through. cowTard stunned, knocked up, and with the Bloodthirster and the Last Whisper, there was too much damage for the very squishy glass cannon cowTard to deal with.
Zenith Blade does not find its home. Blue buff has spawned, but I think Copenhagen Wolves will be picking this one up without any fight. The question is, who will it go to? I guess Forgiven will be having that one. Jankos, he's looking towards his top lane. He's got Xaxus with him. They may try and go for YoungBuck here. He's been caught out of position once again. Here they come, the double team, the terrifying Polish team coming in towards the top lane. YoungBuck, he's trying to run away. Pops that ultimate, should have enough to get away.
Does actually get away. Because the Blade of the Ruined King was used, they couldn't chase him further. Now Overpowp looking to fight just a little bit. We've seen Unlimited for a brief second, but if Copenhagen Wolves had picked that battle, they probably would have lost. There was much more members of Roccat that could have responded faster, and I think wisely they back away. And as we talked about, the Deathfire Grasp has been picked up there for Jankos' Elise, so Evelynn rather. So going to have a lot of damage, a lot of burst, something that was lacking from Millennium when they had a very physical damage team, which the rest of Roccat very clearly is.
So very even between these two still. Only 2,000 gold separating the two teams. 27 minutes into this game. Quick check from cowTard. Baron started? No, it's clear. That means they're going to back off there. 4-3 in turrets, Roccat with that advantage. 6-4 in kills, of course, you can see that at the top of your screen. Item-wise, Randy and Omen has been completed by YoungBuck. It was used in a moment ago to help him escape, along with that Sunfire Cake, which he picked up a mile away. Now he needs to get that Spirit Visage because, as has already been proven, his hit points are getting churned down very quickly. He needs that regen much faster.
Yeah, and there's a lot of mixed damage that actually comes out from Shyvana. Part of the reason that Dr. Mundo has such a difficult time with Blade of the Ruined King Shyvana is that all the additional physical damage from the burnout, from the procs of that passive on Blade, and all the magic damage of the Flame Breath, etc., you can't itemize specifically. Once Spirit Visage is completed, it helps. And that's when YoungBuck stops being insta-kill potential and can start trying to control his lane. But he's only 20 CS down. I think YoungBuck is doing a phenomenal job of keeping up with Shyvana. He just needs to make it count with more teleport usages and more control. And this is version 2. Version 2.
Version 2 going again. cowTard this time does try and dice and slice, tries to get away from there. Is it going to be enough though? Overpowp didn't fancy that, didn't have vision of the bush.
Yeah, no vision, no understanding of where the rest of Roccat were, and I think that was a smart call. I think don't commit, especially if Unlimited got there in time. A solar flare plus a stun from the shield, that probably would have been enough time to kill Overpowp, because cowTard's got a lot of damage. Infinity Edge plus Static Shiv, 90% crit, plus that Vamp Scepter. He is actually very scary.
Well, okay, so let's take a look at what is actually happening, because we've got Xaxus split pushing the top that YoungBuck is struggling to keep up with. We've got Overpowp split pushing down the bottom that cowTard can't deal with. At what point, when these come together, does the Copenhagen Wolves have an issue?
I think Copenhagen Wolves have two options available. They can commit multiple members of their team to one lane, get that person taken down, and then push that lane. Alternatively, they can leave both of the split pushers alone, group up as 5, and shove a lane down themselves. Force Roccat into a position where it's a 5v3, where Copenhagen Wolves can dive quite effectively. If you get a Dragon's Rage kick, follow it with Last Breath and Dr. Mundo tanking a tower, you can actually dive a 3-man. So I think the Copenhagen Wolves should, challenge one lane or go down the middle, because at the moment, losing 2 and just farming the 3rd is a net loss.
Well, it's a 5v4. Should the Copenhagen Wolves go for this? I say that, but YoungBuck switches. He has the teleport available. That's going to be Solar Flare catching on towards VandeR. VandeR going to get dropped here. And no, Wild Growth does save himself for a little bit. The Culling doing damage. The Culling gets a kill.
That may be the first kill of the LCS of the Culling right now. The rest of the Wolves now realizing the support is down for Roccat. They are sticking to the mid lane. This is a good decision. YoungBuck has teleport available so he can help his team in the middle lane if he decides to TP in. We'll see if Overpowp can get you, because Overpowp's going to come from behind. That was a great knockup.
Xaxus goes aggressive, jumps on there. Ace in the hole comes through. Jankos has to run away though. Ignite will be enough to take him down. It's cowTard that picks it up, and Overpowp realizing it. He can't go in for this one. It's a 5-man Copenhagen Wolves firing through the middle.
For a brief second, it looked like Amazing was actually going to save him. They've caught Overpowp.
They're going to try and go for it. It's Overpowp running for his life here. The infected cleavers are just flashing past his face, and he dodges out. But the tower, it's holding on because they're not attacking it.
Yeah, Copenhagen Wolves are more involved in kill. YoungBuck could die.
YoungBuck in trouble, but quickly gets locked up by Unlimited. Xaxus tries to join him, but quickly gets interrupted. Solar Flare comes back out there. Riven catching on towards Celaver. Celaver has to use Barrier to save his life. Finally, they step away. The tower may go down eventually.
Last Breath is still available from cowTard. I haven't seen a very massively effective usage from that just yet. We'll have to see how he makes it count in the later stages. Roccat, after losing multiple kills, do not give up any more towers. That is important to note. They do lose the dragon, which is just keeping the gold even, but I think super importantly, the fact they held onto their towers is vitally important to prevent Copenhagen Wolves doing that 5-man push that we talked about.
Tight positional play between these two teams. Just 500 gold separates them right now. 31 minutes into this game. Forgiven, he's going to get himself the blue buff. He's going to have to start moving because Roccat are already in position for a Baron. I don't think they're going to go for this, but they do have good vision around that area.
And they would be able to shred this down very quickly with that Bloodthirster Last Whisper. Oh, Unlimited's going to be caught.
I'm not sure if he's going to get caught out enough, though. Jankos, oh, he took a big burst from cowTard there. The Static Shift. Culling comes across once again. You can't get 2 kills in one game. YoungBuck, oh my word, he's burst down very quickly there. Xaxus has to use the Dragon Descent to try and get away on Shyvana. And now VandeR's backed off. Ace in the hole doesn't catch anyone from behind. behind, and this is just simply a problem. Roccat out of position here. They've got to back away.
Yeah, and Copenhagen Wolves need to get a tower now. Roccat did well to defend the last time, but they're well out of position for this particular attempt. And as I thought Unlimited may get focused down, the rest of the Wolves just wrap around from the jungle, manage to pick up some kills. They get the turret, and the Wolves are going to back away, not feeling confident that the 5v4 is powerful enough to get on that inhib turret.
What a game we have on our hands here, ladies and gentlemen. The Wolves and Roccat going at it toe for toe. It's still only 7-6, a low kill score game, you could say, but the action is very much back and forth. They've certainly been engaging with one another, just only getting one kill every time they have a 5v5 exchange. They're going Baron quick.
Yeah, Unlimited might get killed. Baron is available in the background. That's going to be a dead Unlimited.
That's going to be Overpowp. He's just baiting them. They're all focusing on Overpowp. They don't care because they're taking the Baron.
Baron's only at half life though. The rest of the Copenhagen Wolves are now here in time, and Roccat have to peel away.
Jankos was not there, so they were trying to rush that Baron out. They just didn't have the damage without Overpowp, and now it's going to be the Wolves starting the Baron off.
Yeah, they're very happy to jump right in. There's some damage is already dealt, and this is a smart decision from the Wolves. The waves are pushing on their inhibitor turret in the bottom lane. There's a wave pushing the top lane, and I think if those waves were in favor of the Wolves pushing against Roccat, then they could have gone for Baron. I think it's a smart decision to back away. Somebody needs to go kill those minions because it could be a lot of damage that's unneeded and unnecessary.
Yeah, still nobody's going to it. Finally, we're seeing Forgiven backing off, but I think they were so worried about the counter-engage on Baron that it took them such a delay, and they've actually lost out on, I'd probably say, a double wave there on the tower.
Yeah, at least. There's a lot of minions that have been lost and wasted. In terms of the items, we're actually seeing Forgiven, cowTard rather, going towards a Blade of the Rune King. I think this is actually quite a smart pickup against the effective health targets of the Wild Growth on Lulu and, Shyvana, Eve, etc. But we do see a Youmuu's Ghost Blade. I don't actually know how to say the first word, just FYI. The Ghost Blade is picked up by Overpow's Riven. And this is a little bit of an unconventional item pick, but I like it because it's movement speed, allows you to chase, and it also gives you that armor pen once you throw the active down.
Jankos, he is heading for a... Zhonya's Hourglass. Why not? Why not? There's a jungler. That's the item when he wants in there. Or maybe he's just going to keep the Seeker's Arm Guard and then go for a Rabadon's Death Cap. That's what he's been heading towards, but he's not getting as fed as he was against Super Hot Crew. It doesn't seem to be working out as well for him in this game, this Evelynn pick. He has still got a lot of damage, but as it is, every time he comes in, they immediately focus him.
Yeah, another incredibly even game between these two teams. And with so much damage on both sides, it's actually difficult to win a team fight instantly because you can focus single targets very well. Even if Xaxus were to jump in right now, if he were to be focused by Forgiven and cowTard, that's an Infinity Edge static Shiv plus Bloodthirst and the makings of another Infinity Edge, he would go down relatively quickly. I'd like to see some armor penetration on both cowTard rather, because in the previous game, we've seen how ineffective Kerp's late armor pen was, and cowTard's going to suffer a similar fate.
Well, Overpow's about to show himself a long way down that bottom lane, so we'll see where the Copenhagen Wolves are trying to react to this one. They are in good position. They need to sweep out those wards that are all around the Baron area, which is why you can see the two sweeping lenses being picked up. Still only one for Roccat.
Yeah, Copenhagen Wolves are pushing very aggressively because they have teleport available and they see Overpowp. They've caught Jankos.
They've caught Jankos. He's going to get in trouble. He does use the Wild Breath to help him out here. Is it going to be enough? Tries to get that shield with his ultimate. He should survive here, but they're going to come rushing through. No, amazing catch is in there. That's Jankos down again.
The Dragon's Rage kick was used to finish off the kill, so it's not available for this next fight. Wolves now, knowing that it's a 5v4, they're going to take their 5th tower of the game, and they're playing very objective. They could either go to the inhibitor turret or back off to the Baron. Overpowp could be considering a flash over this wall if he can get onto Forgiven and just instantly kill him. Dragon's Rage is also available for Xaxus if they want to dive in.
Wind Wall being used to prevent those minions being taken down, but finally that static shiv proccing off that from Celaver's last hit. And it is going to be the Wolves that step away from this one. They're doing a really good job right now of just maneuvering Roccat and catching them out.
If they back off to buy, they need to respond by getting back to the Baron pit very quickly. There is the opportunity for a counter Baron if Copenhagen Wolves back away. Instead, this is a smart decision. They're going for Baron. Roccat are trying to respond. Overpowp has everything available, and 4 members are in the pit. Oh, they've peeled away.
They're peeled away, but they've split targets, and it's actually Unlimited. Tried to get on towards Overpowp, and now YoungBuck's trying to tank it out. Overpow's going to dive in. He's jumped straight in towards it. Let's see if he can get on the AD carry. Forgiven's taken no damage. Turns it around on his head. They get the Baron down, and now Roccat are falling like flies. Xaxus Xaxus is desperately trying to crawl away from this one, but it is only going to be a whimper because Forgiven gives the chase. Meanwhile, the rest of the team, you can see Jankos running for his life. Celaver, absolutely no health at all. Copenhagen Wolves can push for an inhibitor to it. No, you're going to see go back on towards Unlimited. Unlimited tries to get away. The rest of his team close in and just pops Jankos where he stands. Finally, Roccat get a kill, but it's all for naught because they're going to lose the inhibitor.
3 for 1. VandeR's going to go down here as well. He's got no flash available, just a matter of time. Randy Omen gets thrown just for good measure, and the Copenhagen Wolves will be able to pick themselves up an inhibitor. There's long death timers here, and they've got very tanky champions. They may even try push onto a Nexus turret.
Well, they're going to step away. No, they're going to keep for the Nexus turret. There's going to be the ultimate pop by YoungBuck, and they're just going to work their way through. Oh, Celaver gets caught out, and that is how quick you can go down when cowTard does use his ultimate at the right time. The Nexus turrets will drop. The Nexus will fall. The Copenhagen Wolves have taken down Roccat.
In a very convincing battle, once the mid-game rolled around, Copenhagen Wolves struggled in the laning phase, fell a little bit behind. They managed to pull it back, and I think Yasuo, still some questions in my mind. I feel like that Last Breath ultimate, not necessarily used to its fullest, but a great play. And pushing the towers when they had the opportunities. Congratulations to the Wolves.